What's up YouTube, this is URC Shadow, and today we're going to be looking at a strategy breakdown for a mission requested by Chad Fletcher, who I recognise as one of my very first subscribers, and he's asked for a walkthrough for Solo Hard American Exports mission. Now American Exports is a level 65 mission offered by Leicester, and as of patch 1.16 which came out August 2014, this will net you around $17,250 and just under 3,000 RP. Of course, as of patch 1.16, this is no longer an exact science as it's time and difficulty based. And if the payouts change but the mission remains the same in future patches, I'll flash up some annotations on the screen now to explain what the new levels are. Also, you can click the speedrun icon on the bottom right of the screen now to go to my speedrun video of this mission, which will piece together all the different strategic options we're going to look at in this video into one single take of the fastest time that I can do this mission. So without further ado, let's get into it. As a quick overview of the mission, looking at the map, first we're going to have to break into Fort Sankudo and steal a Cargobob. Once we've got the Cargobob, we're then going to have to make our way to the Los Santos airport and steal a container. Before finally delivering it to Leicester's warehouse. So let's look at stage 1, stealing the Cargobob. Now calling up a Cargobob from Pegasus isn't going to fly, you are going to actually have to break into the base to steal one. And there are a couple of different ways into the base that I'm going to show you here. So the first way into the base is by car, coming in from the southeast corner. We're effectively going to get ourselves onto a ledge and jump over the fence. The second way in is also by car, coming in from the north, and here we'll be gaining some speed down the highway before taking a jump to get over the fence. And the third way, which is definitely my favourite, and to be fair probably the less riskiest, is to come in by air, either via a helicopter, which can be your own or borrowed from Merryweather, or even for a little bit more style you can parachute in. Now all three of these methods are achievable. Personally I prefer the third one of coming in by air, simply because you spend the least amount of time on the ground in the base with 4-star wanted rating. And you may already have a preferred method of getting into the base from free roam when you're trying to steal laser jets, so whatever works for you, I'd advise to use here. So once you're into the base and you've got your Cargobob, the next step is absolutely critical. If you don't follow this, there's a very good chance you're going to fail the mission. And whilst I wouldn't class this as a glitch, there is certainly a loophole in the game logic here that we're going to exploit in order to make it even possible to complete this mission solo. So as soon as you're in your Cargobob, you're going to gain as much altitude as you can, just keep going up, but also move further into the base, heading along the runway. There's effectively an invisible line here that you don't want to cross, as once you cross that line, enemy police helicopters will spawn, which will be completely fatal to your Cargobob. So if I bring up the map, I'll highlight in red this invisible line, which is the dirt road to the south of the base, that you can't cross, otherwise enemy helicopters will spawn. And in yellow, I'm also going to highlight an invisible line that you do want to cross, that will cause your wanted level to flash, so that eventually you can lose the cops. And what you're aiming to do is basically stay in between this red and yellow lines. So going back to the live action, I'll demonstrate how this is done. So we're staying to the right hand side of the dirt road that I marked in red earlier, and we're staying to the left hand side of the invisible yellow line that will prevent our wanted level from flashing. Now at this point, we're pretty much flying purely by the mini-map. We're making sure the little triangle that denotes where we are is in between those two lines until the police have given up looking for us, and we can move on to the next stage. Once you have lost your rating level, you then want to fly to Los Santos airport, which I'll skip because it's pretty boring and nothing really happens. So we're arriving at Los Santos airport. Now going at maximum speed in the Cargobob, there's a good chance you would have gained a lot of altitude during this time, so first thing we're going to do is shave off a whole load of that altitude and get ourselves down back to sea level. Once we're there, we're going to make sure our grapple hook's deployed, which you can use the right button on the D-pad to do. And we're looking to spot the blue container that we're going to need to pick up and steal. There are two options here. The first is to literally swoop in and pick it up and get out again. It is a riskier option compared to the second one of landing, taking out all the guys at the base, and then picking up the container. There is another drawback to this, which I'll come on to in a sec, but for now, we're going to line up with the blue container. We're not going to get shot at until we physically attach ourselves to that container, and at that point, we need to ensure we're getting the hell out of there as soon as possible. So here we go, line it up, hook, now we're being shot, and you'll notice that RPG round just went flying at me. I must have played this mission about 10 times, so far I haven't yet been hit, but I suppose it's always a possibility. And now we're going full tilt towards Leicester's warehouse. Now while it isn't particularly obvious on the minimap, because for some reason there isn't an icon telling us it's happening, we're actually being pursued by an enemy helicopter. And here he is here, which I'll just use an arrow to illustrate where he is. Now this helicopter is fast. It's much faster than we can go. It's definitely going to catch us up, and it's going to start shooting us. And for some reason, it seems pretty good at shooting our actual character in the Cargobob from behind. God knows how. So to a certain extent, we're just going to take it and try and get to Lester's ASAP. However, you may need to pull up the interaction menu, hitting select or back on the Xbox, go into your inventory and pulling out some food or armor, just to ensure that if you suddenly need it, you can give yourself some more health or armor ASAP. As you can see here, the helicopter took massive chunks out of my armor and health, and I had to resort to using it, otherwise I probably would have failed the mission. This helicopter is going to carry on chasing us right up to the bitter end. As you can see, I've just made it, smoking everything, to Lester's warehouse. So that was a risky option for picking up the container. Let's look at a slower but more reliable method. So here we are again, approaching Los Santos Airport. This time we're going to come around it and we're going to land the other side of it, which on the main map is the south entrance. Once we landed, we're going to go to the left hand side of the big warehouse. Again, no one's going to start shooting us until we shoot them, so we've got all the time in the world. And because we've got a couple of enemies in close proximity, here I'm going to favour the assault shotgun as a weapon of choice. We're going to get behind this red and white barrier, take cover, check out we know where our targets are. We're going to take them all out within a couple of seconds. Once we've done that, we're going to move to this wall to the side. Now you're perfectly safe to blow up this gas canister. It's nowhere near the container, so you don't risk blowing up the container by accident. That will take out a good chunk of people and vehicles. And then once we're done, it's pretty much a clear up exercise. Here I switched to my bullpup rifle, but again you could probably carry on using the shotgun. We'll just move around the base, clearing out the few guys that are left, until we've worked our way back round to where we started. Now once the guys around the warehouse have all been cleared out, we're going to make our way back to the Cargobob. We're going to jump in, and we're going to get to that container. Now that helicopter from earlier is still going to cause us a problem, so what we're going to do here is we're going to hook the container and immediately drop it again, which is again right on the D-pad or whatever the Xbox equivalent is. I imagine it's called a D-pad too. So once we've unhooked the container, we're going to land again. We're going to get out and find a good vantage point to take out that helicopter as it approaches us. Now here, initially I was trying to use the sniper rifle. It's probably the heavy sniper rifle. The fence does get in the way, and to be fair, it's not the easiest thing in the world to try and take out a helicopter with a sniper rifle. Now if this is your only decent weapon for taking out a helicopter, I guess you can only use what you've got. However, if you are over level 120, or if you have a minigun left over from a survival, or you found it in a crate, something like that, then I'd definitely advise using that on the helicopter. And then we're completely safe. There's no more enemies that are going to spawn now for the rest of the mission. We can literally jump back in the Cargobob, rehook the container, and then drop it at Lester's warehouse. So anyway guys, I hope you found that useful. If you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I've got strategy guides for other missions, including Rooftop Rumble and Chopper Tail. I've got speed runs of all the missions I do strategy guides for, and tips and tricks videos such as combat rolling, target cycling, which you saw earlier, flying fox, free falling, etc, etc. Cheers guys, thanks for watching.